Ancient Egypt is a surprising place and has intrigued humanity for thousands of years and intrigues us still. We cannot get Egypt out of our hearts and minds. And this is because Egypt, or Kemet as it was originally called, was such an influence on our culture and understanding. The first writings, first hospitals and medicine systems all were founded in Egypt. And of course, the greatest feats of architecture the world has ever known. Temples and sculptures of such immensity, many we cannot duplicate or explain today. Such an intense devotion to building and leaving a heritage for all mankind that was able to survive even beneath the sands of time for hundreds and hundreds of years. Was it just for the glory of pharaohs, for their memory and egos, as so many historians would have us believe? Or was there a much deeper understanding and message that they wanted to leave behind? The pyramids, of course, were the Egyptians' earliest and greatest achievements. And the Giza Plateau pyramids are the most complex. The two major pyramids of Giza, the Great Pyramid and Khafra, both weigh approximately 6 million tons made from approximately 2.9 million blocks of stone. To build these pyramids today would take our high-tech society to the test. They are by far the most structurally complex on Earth. For of course there are many more pyramids in the world apart from Giza. Egypt has 50, and all around the world there are over 1,000 pyramids. Of this vast number, 21 pyramids are over 250 feet or 750 meters high. Spread out all across the world, these larger pyramids align with volcanoes on the opposite side of the world at approximately the same latitude and longitude. 180 degrees opposite the pyramids of Giza lays the Hawaiian Islands, also known as the Hawaiian Hotspot, which to this day defies a logical explanation as to why it exists. In 2018, we experienced a major planetary alignment where all the planets were positioned on one side of the Sun. This alignment increased the gravitational energy on Earth, which resulted in billions of tons of magma flowing out of the Hawaiian Kilauea volcano. Kilauea is a constant erupting volcano in a class of its own, sitting on the Hawaiian hotspot and acting as the Earth's magma relief valve, discharging magma pressure built up under the Pacific plate, which in effect stops tectonic plate slips and other huge seismic activity from occurring in the Ring of Fire. The 2018 event helps show us the ancient high technological system occurring between the Giza pyramids and the Hawaiian hotspot. In the known universe, everything must have an opposite. Hot and cold, light and darkness, moving, stopping, war and peace, love and hate. On a larger scale, we can see this causal opposition occurring between land masses above sea level on the Earth. All continents align with another continent 180 degrees on the other side of the planet. The African continent is the only one that does not align with a sister continent. However, it is one of the quietest tectonic plates on Earth when it comes to seismic activity, and has more geoengineering than any other plate on the planet. For instance, the stone circles of southern Africa. Tens of millions of circles can be found in a dense field at the bottom of Africa, each having very unusual acoustic properties. These mega stone structures also have a very unusual gravitational property that refracts Earth's gravity field to prevent the natural inherent gravity balance effect of a continent rising up out of the Pacific Ocean to align with Africa. As previously stated, the large pyramids and volcanoes align with each other at 180 degrees. The Giza pyramids, being situated in Africa, align with an island system rather than a continent, i.e. the Hawaiian Islands. It is almost as if the pyramids have punched a hole in the Pacific plate to create the Hawaiian hotspot to stop the Pacific plate from rising. Large masses such as these 6 million ton pyramids 480 feet high cause a deflection in the Earth's locked gravitational field. This, in effect, lowers the gravitational field, allowing magma to flow out of the Hawaiian hotspot, creating the Hawaiian island chain. Gravity has this self-balancing mechanism to it. We find visual evidence of this throughout the universe. Gravity powers the universe. Gravity is the energy of nuclear fission and fusion that occurs on every star, including our Sun. There are two types of gravity, static and live gravity. Static gravity is where a planet is situated alone in space with no external gravity influences on it, e.g. moons, planets, suns. Here, gravity pushes inwards on the mass from all directions, like a diver diving super deep where water pushes on him from all directions. Live gravity is where external heavenly bodies, i.e. planets, moons and stars, which have their own gravitational fields, interact with each other. The biggest gravitational influence on Earth is our moon's gravitational field. We can witness this force every day by observing high and low tides. The two high tides that happen every day occur simultaneously and at 180 degrees opposite each other on either side of the planet. One high tide occurs with the moon overhead, whereas the opposite high tide occurs under a moonless sky. This illustrates again the self-balancing mechanics of Earth's gravity. An experiment to demonstrate this point was undertaken by the author of this theory on a 1,000-pound weight. The weight was placed on an electronic weight scale and observed. When the moon was in specific alignment to the weight, he could observe that the weight reading fluctuated as much as 10%. A way to visualize the moon's gravitational effect on the pyramids is to imagine you are standing on the Giza plateau, facing east, 10 minutes before you see the rise of the full moon. At this time, the pyramids are already sensing and concentrating the moon's gravitational field in the center line of the pyramids. First, the Great Pyramid rolls into the moon's gravity field, followed by the second pyramid, Khafra, and then the third, smaller pyramid, Menkaure. This creates a Fibonacci spiral vortex with the moon's gravitational field resulting in a gravity differential that affects the gravitational field under the Hawaiian hotspot. 10 minutes later, you will see the moon rising. In fact, it's the moon's gravitational force that slows the rotation of the Earth down to a 24-hour rotation to give us our day. If the moon was not in orbit around the Earth, Earth's day would be only 8 hours long. To use the energy of the gravity force as a utility, you need to create a gravitational differential. And this can be done with the use of very large pyramids. In a live gravity situation, the pyramids become gravity lenses. They partially concentrate, to a degree, the moon's live gravity into a tight focal point. This focal point occurs in the center line of the pyramid, having a cause and effect impact on magma currents deep in the Earth's crust, giving the Earth a very stable plate tectonic environment. A very simple way of explaining how the gravitational field is impacting the pyramids is to compare them to the gravitational reciprocation, the up and down motion of the pistons in your car engine. This reciprocal effect keeps magma currents in place and locks Earth's magnetic field into true north. We can witness this 180-degree gravity corresponding latitude-longitude theory effect in storm seasons. Hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones are massive storms and massive heat engines. In the early stage of storms, it is heat that brings them into existence. Once they form into massive storms, they raise the ocean water levels in the eye at their center between 20 and 40 feet high. This rise is miles in diameter in essence. We are talking about hundreds of millions of tons of water that is deflecting the Earth's gravitational field. On the other side of the world, opposite the storm at 180 degrees, this impact of these storms creates a vortex, and a sister storm comes into existence and will grow accordingly. If such an effect happened over land, on the opposite side of a massive storm, a vortex will develop over land and increased seismic activity will occur in this geographical location, e.g. earthquakes. This is an undisputed fact that can be verified with historical data going back a century or more. Anyone that has studied Egypt or traveled there will agree that the ancient Egyptian society was operating in a much higher dimensional reality than what we experience today. A much higher technological advanced society. A society that has to this day inspired the greatest minds on earth, one of those being Sir Isaac Newton himself, who wrote in his unpublished notes, "The Giza Plateau Pyramid held the answer to his gravity theory." Fast forward 500 years, and with the technology of today, we can help Sir Isaac Newton be vindicated. Gravity has a self-balancing mechanism in it. We see this throughout the universe, as everything is spherical in shape once critical gravity mass is achieved. The law of gravity described in this video can be mathematically expressed in this simple equation. This equation measures gravity deflection on the planet. Were the pyramids built for geoengineering purposes, utilizing the Earth-Moon gravitational field exchange as a main source of power to control magma currents, which in turn control seismic activity and plate tectonics? This pyramid effect also locks in the Earth magnetic field to prevent devastating magnetic pole swaps.